Welcome. In this segment, we'll be covering the concept of a force in Ultimate. Rather than discussing how to execute a force from the defensive perspective, this video focuses on the strategy of Ultimate from the offensive perspective and looks at what implications the force has on our offense. In this video, we'll learn what a force is, some key vocabulary that will help us communicate with our teammates, how the force impacts our options as an offense, and lastly, we'll learn how to read the force in order to determine where we can go with the disc. To help us learn these concepts, we're going to get some help from two special friends. Let's meet Chandler. Chandler is our team's center handler, or C handler, shown here in blue. Chandler sets up in the center of our offense and is our primary thrower in most situations. Chandler's attacking the left end zone, as indicated by the arrow. Chandler has the disc right now, indicated by the black circle. Our second special friend is Mark, shown here in red. Mark is on the opposing team. Mark's job is to guard or mark Chandler. When he approaches, Mark will initiate a stall count. That stall count limits the amount of time Chandler can hold the disc, which obviously affects when Chandler will have to make a throw. But what if Mark could also affect where Chandler is going to throw? This is the whole point of the force. By using his body to block certain throwing lanes, Mark can make it harder for Chandler to attack certain areas of the field. Done correctly, the defense will force the offense to move in a certain direction, hence the name. Mark will apply a force by approaching Chandler and intentionally placing his body on one side of Chandler or the other. A force is typically chosen by reference to the sideline where the defense wants to push the disc. As shown in the diagram, the sideline is either home or away. The home sideline is where your stuff is, where your mom is sitting, or where your coach is standing, yelling at you to play better. Away is the other side. In this example, Mark is going to force towards the home sideline. He communicates this to his teammates by yelling, "forcing home," or something similar. For Mark, that means standing on the opposite side of Chandler's body from the home sideline. This isn't as confusing as you think. In order to block throws, Mark puts his body in the place on the field he wants to block throws from going to. In this case, the away sideline. This is shown in the diagram as a red cone. Notice the blue team player inside that red area. It's going to be tough to throw into this area because Mark is actively blocking throws from going there. That area is called the break side or the back side. It's called the break side because Chandler's throw will have to break through Mark's defense in order to get there. However, the force isn't a perfect defense. It's a trade-off. Mark made it difficult to throw to the break side, but he's making it easier to throw towards the home sideline. We'll call this area the open side, the front side, or the force side. We call it that because the throws to that side are open, or that's the area where the defense is trying to force us to throw the disc. Notice the blue team player in this area. It's going to be easy to throw the disc to this player because Mark is not blocking that throw with his body. As you can see, the force essentially divides the field in two. Based on which way the defense is forcing, different throwing lanes will be open. Let's continue with this example where Mark is forcing home. The blue boxes indicate good areas for our cutters to attack because throwing lanes will generally be open. Recall that Chandler's heading towards the left end zone on our screen, so he is facing in the direction of that arrow. Directly behind him is a zone we call the dump area. Cuts into this area will move our offense backwards, but it can be a good option for a quick, easy throw to reset the stall count. To Chandler's immediate right is the swing area. This moves the disc laterally towards the home sideline. This doesn't move our offense forward, and it potentially traps us close to the sideline, but it can sometimes be a good option for us to change the angle of attack and create a better throwing lane to get the disc upfield to our cutters. Moving from the swing towards the left end zone is the front side or force side cutting area. We need to gain yards in order to score, and this area offers us good balance between gaining yards and keeping the throws short and manageable. Further down the field is the deep cutting area. We could potentially gain lots of yards by cutting into this space, but the catch is that it takes longer and the throw is more difficult. A disc that has to fly further stays in the air longer, which gives the defense a chance to adjust and potentially disrupt the throw. Take note that if Mark is forcing away, then this diagram would simply be reversed. This diagram shows a bird's eye view, but imagine what this looks like from Chandler's perspective. Chandler's left side is blocked by Mark, who's standing just off his left shoulder. The right side of Chandler's body is free though. If Chandler is right-handed, this means that 4 hand throws are open, because they come out from the right side of Chandler's body. But the backhand throws are blocked, because those throws come out on the left side of Chandler's body. So as Chandler sets up his offense, he needs to see which direction Mark is forcing and determine what throws he has available so that he can attack the open side. Again, if Mark were forcing away, this would be reversed. From Chandler's perspective, we need to read the force and quickly determine whether forehand or backhand throws are going to be available to the open side. Mark is forcing home. From Chandler's perspective, that is a force forehand, so forehand throws to the open side will be available with ease. If Mark decides to change the force, we know intuitively that we can simply throw to the backhand side or Chandler's left side because throws to that area will now be open. For the defense, a force home or force away are the most common defensive looks. That means as our offense, we're going to see force forehand or force backhand most of the time. But let's analyze a third option. Notice that in this diagram, Mark has moved to the center of Chandler's body. Mark is now standing directly in front of Chandler, which takes away throws directly up the field, but it leaves a small throwing lane on either the home or away side. This is what we would call a force flat or flat mark position. This makes it tough to throw straight up the field, taking away deep looks, but it leaves shorter underneath routes open in either direction. Let's look at how a flat mark affects the available space for our offense. The flat mark is useful for taking away the middle of the field and making it tough to complete deep throws. In exchange, the defense is vulnerable on either side, and our offense is free to take advantage of a new swing lane on the backhand side of Chandler's body. There's also a short to intermediate cutting lane up the backhand sideline. If we want to attack deep space, we can potentially swing the disc sideways and then make a quick throw up the field to gain yards in chunks. These diagrams help us understand what areas of the field are going to be taken away by a given force. We need to be able to read what force the defense is applying in order to most effectively move the disc. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and make sure to come back for more video lessons.